Yep. I request the organizers to please check the volume. The speaker is not audible.
Can you speak now? Can you speak now?
Am I audible?
Yeah,
Can you continue? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I was saying that in the context of Kerala, when it comes to the discussion of inclusion, we cannot limit the discussion to the aspect of enrollment or access, but also to the quality of education received by the students who are enrolled in the schools. This paper has been written on the basis of a case study with the conceptual framework of schooling experience as an aspect of quality of education, which is conducted in one school in Thrissur district of Kerala. And this study problematizes how children of migrant laborers experience their schooling, how teachers perceive these experiences, and how the language, background, and family environment of migrant students are shaping these experiences. 19 children of migrant laborers, 21 teachers, and 6 parents of migrant students participated in this study. And this study adopted a qualitative research approach with case study design, and the data was collected through a fieldwork of 2 weeks through semi-structured interview, and the data was analyzed thematically. When we look into the background of the students are coming from their native states are Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, and their home languages are Hindi and Bhojpuri. All these students migrated to Kerala at a younger age, and they started their schooling at Kerala, so they can speak Malayalam. Uh, but Malayalam is the home language of the native students and teachers of the school, and also the medium of instruction of the school in which these migrant students are studying. But there is a gender gap in Malayalam language speaking skills of migrant students because of differential access to opportunities to engage with Malayalam spoken language, Malayalam spoken language. Along with this, migrant girl students have a very limited sector of peer interaction, which is restricted to the group of migrant girls itself. All the migrant students are enrolled in English medium classes, but the classes are taken mostly in Malayalam because teachers are considering that it is easy and understandable for all students. But migrant students share their experience of inability to understand, interact, and engage in pedagogical processes with Malayalam and English as the medium of instruction. Even though migrant students can speak Malayalam, that is not compatible with the capability of native Malayali students. And the vocabulary and language competency of migrant students are very limited. and the form of Malayalam used as the medium of instruction in the classroom is different from the form of Malayalam spoken language, which also made the migrant students to learn the Malayalam language paper, which is compulsory for all students. Migrant students find this as the most difficult subject in their entire schooling. Also, migrant students are finding it difficult to understand the social and cultural meaning associated with the language. This is very important in language learning. Since migrant students can speak Malayalam, teachers perceive that they don't face any kind of language-related issues. And all the teachers, except the teachers who are teaching Hindi and Urdu, are labeling migrant students as poor performing or disinterested students. But in the case of Hindi and Urdu teachers, they are identifying migrant students as one of their bright and good students from the class. Migrant students also share their confidence and better academic performances in these two papers because the medium of instruction and engagement is the home language of migrant students. So both the teachers and migrant students shared their difficulties to communicate with each other, which is adversely affecting their student-teacher interaction and overall the schooling process. So language background is one of the aspects of marginality of migrant students, which is affecting their entire schooling. When it comes to the home environment, so as per the accounts of migrant parents, with the migration to Kerala, they could earn better wages for their daily wage compared with their native state. Still, they are economically and socially backward, which are additional aspects of marginality, but I couldn't look into those aspects in detail. So I was looking at the aspect of home environment. So these migrant students are living in very limited home conditions, infrastructural conditions. When I visited their homes, at least 6 to 12 members are living in single room households with very limited conditions of resources. So they do not have access to personal space at their home. And when it comes to the case of migrant girls, they are tasked with household responsibility and taking care of their sibling and so on. Because of which absenteeism is very prevalent among migrant girl students. Also, all the migrant parents are illiterate and they have very basic primary level education, which they have attained from their native state in Hindi medium, because of which they are not able to provide any sort of assistance for their children's learning. Also, there is a very minimal and limited communication between the teachers and the parents, because even though the fathers can speak Malayalam, because of the unavailability of fathers due to their engagement in daily wage work, mothers are the points of contact. But mothers cannot speak Malayalam and the teachers cannot speak Hindi. So there is a huge communication gap between the parents and teachers, whereas the teachers maintain a regular communication with the parents of native students. Additionally, this case study also found that 16 migrant students belonging to minority community could not receive any scholarship which they deserve because of lack of necessary documents to make the claims, lack of awareness of parents regarding the availability of scholarships, and also the failure of the school to help the students to navigate through the application process. Rest of the 3 students belongs to SC category in their native states, but since their caste is not recognized in the state of Kerala, they are not put under the category of SC and they are not getting any benefits of that particular category. And since none of the migrant families have a ration cards, they are put under APL, above poverty line category. So this shows the failure of the school and the larger system to ensure scholarship and other benefits which they deserve as per the existing provisions, allowing identifying and providing additional support as per the needs of students. So the children of migrant laborers face various challenges in their overall schooling experiences, but the teachers fail to understand these schooling experiences and special needs of migrant students in the context of their language background, home environment, and other aspects which makes migrant students vulnerable. The education system in Kerala has been receiving vital recognition for the educational achievements in terms of access, enrollment, retention, and so on. And in comparison with United States, comparison with other states, Kerala is providing better schooling opportunities to the children, and this opinion has been shared by the parents, the migrant labor parents, and the students also. But the findings of this case study shows that the popular notion of education, the educational achievement with the migration uh, to Kerala, uh, that is not the ground reality across the state. Migrant students are vulnerable and marginal in the schooling process and the education and the larger schooling system because of their language background, home environment, and the failure of system in identifying and providing necessary support for children to address the challenges they face in their schooling. In addition to language background and home environment, which I tried to capture through my study, the socio-economic and cultural background and identities, along with the capability of the existing curriculum, pedagogy, school cultures, practices, teacher proficiency, teacher professional development programs, and policy interventions to ensure quality education to migrant children in comparison with native students need further studies and analysis. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Before we move on to the next speaker, I would like all the speakers to ensure to stick to the time limit. I will be giving the tap at 5 minutes. Kindly try to wrap up after that. So, the next speaker we have is Sweta Ayapat and Sidhu PG.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, yes. Can I share my PPT?
Yes, definitely.
Am I audible, ma'am? Is my PPT is visible? Yes, yes. No, I can't present my PPT. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Vigorous Singh with Dr. Jijo Valdez.
नमस्कार, आप सभी को सादर प्रणाम. My name is Yadvendra Singh and I want to present my research titled Exploring the Ripple Effect of Bullying on Social Skills in Elementary School Children. Just imagine if I throw a pebble in a still pond, you can observe several ripples going on. They spread all over the pond. Similar effects can be seen when it comes to the bullying. The effects of bullying can be everlasting and they can affect the development of a child for his whole of his life. So it is essential that we understand and the significance of this study is that we all know that in this era, social skills plays an important role in the development of any child. Social skills are very much important to initiate a conversation. An individual, if he or she wishes to put forward his or her thoughts, so it is very much important that he or she should have very good social skills. And through my study, I am trying to understand how bullying is impacting the social skills of an individual at elementary level. And even the importance of social skills at the present is also increasing as with the level of social skills, the social skills. So it is important that we focus upon the social skill aspect of the child. So starting from the definition of bullying and its type. Like if we have in philosophy, the father of philosophy is considered as Plato, or father of political sciences Aristotle, or father of history is Herodotus. So to give the credit of researching about the bullying, we have Dan Olweus. He has extensively researched about the bullying in early 1970s, and he has given a system which is a kind of intervention which can be implemented in the school forum. So it is known as OBPP, which means Olweus Bullying Prevention Program, which is quite effective, and he has defined bullying as in 3 dimensions. Bullying is the act which should have negative connotations. It should affect an individual negatively. Second, in bullying cases, there should be a power imbalance between the bully and the person who is being bullied. So there exists a power imbalance due to which a person becomes prey of bullying. And the third point which he mentions is the action of bullying is repetitive in nature. It means it happens again and again, and as a result, the person who is experiencing bullying, there are several harmful ways through which he gets impacted. So there are majorly 4 types of bullying, which are physical bullying, which we can say like pushing, hitting, or shoving, or giving some threats to violence. Then second is verbal bullying, which means a person is through writing or speaking, a person is trying to bully somebody. This can include name calling, teasing, passing sexual comments. Then third one is social bullying, which means a person is being bullied from the perspective of society, like spreading rumors, gossiping, manipulating relationships, and damaging someone's reputation, kind of defaming somebody. And the fourth one is emotional bullying, in which the bully takes the benefit, or bully has the upper edge over the person who is being bullied, and a person is deliberately left out. In the so I'll directly jump into the objectives of the study. Objectives of the study are to identify the social skill deficits which are reported in the elementary school children who have experienced bullying. And there is a to identify a significant difference between those who are bullied and those who are not bullied. And second, to identify the effect of bullying on the academic performance of the students, those who are bullied and those who are not bullied. And the third objective is to provide some tangible solutions in order to resolve or to mitigate the effects of bullying in the social skills of the children. So the methodology which was followed in the research was a descriptive survey method.
I'm chairing
I
a,
used
a,
Likert 5
but I think actually
scale to formulate a tool
I've
in which students were
I've
asked
sent you a whole load of things to print off because I
pick
couldn't access the
to
printer.
provide their
But
preferences.
I think I'm alright. The stuff for India, I think I'm alright. I thought I'd got to introduce that with students' paper, but
Around 6 schools were there from
I'll
which
just get the
sample was
chat feed.
collected. The students were of class 7 and 8, and the results were like there was a significant difference in the social skills of those students, those who were bullied and those who were not bullied. And the second result was that there was a significant difference in the academic performance of those students who were bullied and those who were not bullied. And then the solutions to mitigate the effect of bullying in the social skills can be derived from NCPCR, which is an statutory body which categorize the solutions into 4 parts majorly. First, it talks about for the formulation of a reporting system which should be easily approachable to the student. Second is at the policy level, and third is to provide to make people, all the stakeholders like student, school administration, teachers, to sensitize them against bullying. And fourth is to engage parents in order to counter bullying in the school premises. And the fifth one is due to the coming up of metaverse at present, cyberbullying has also become prevalent at present. So to counter this, government can take initiative in order to curb the influence of hate speech in the social media. That's it.
Finished it in some 5 minutes? Or it's taken 10? It's taken 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions, they can immediately ask them.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Considering none, moving on. Thank you so much for your presentation. The next speakers are Nikita Agrawal and Akanksha Rana.
Am I audible? Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Before starting, it's ready for you saying something.
No.
Oh, thank you.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, on the screen is visible, but we put it on slideshow.
Yeah. So, good afternoon. I am Nikita Agrawal and I'm here today on this virtual platform to share my paper, to present my paper on the topic involvement of parents and community in school education. So, these are the major topics that I will be covering in my presentation. So, first, I would like to introduce you to the topic and why we have done this research project on involvement of parents and community in school education. In the evolving realm of education, considerable attention is directed towards the vital role of parents and communities in fostering holistic development among students. The active participation of parents and communities is crucial in shaping students' learning experiences. So, we all know that there is a significant role of parents and community involvement in school education and what all benefits it offers, and how do the children grow and progress when such involvement is visible in school education. So the in-depth study of parental and community participation in school education is significant for understanding its effects on students' achievements, encouraging collaboration, and fostering inclusion within educational settings. The background and context of this research paper: the role of parents and communities in education has evolved over time from informal involvement in early civilizations to more structured forms of engagement in modern educational systems. So, we all know that there is an evolution in terms of involvement of parents and communities, how the degree and extent of participation and engagement of parents and communities have evolved over time. So we can see it in two ways. First is shift in the educational policies and practices. Throughout history, there have been alterations in educational policies and practices concerning the involvement of parents and communities, and then the societal expectations and community engagement. What all do the society, the parents, and the community expect from the school education? The perception of education within society has also transformed over time, acknowledging the significance of a comprehensive educational approach involving not only schools but also families, communities, and various stakeholders. How parents are also the equal stakeholders in education system and how they are partners in education. Research problem and rationale: there is an increasing need to discuss the significance of parental and community involvement in education, highlighting its impact on student outcomes and school success. So, investigating the involvement of parents and communities in school education is imperative for understanding its impact on student outcomes, fostering collaborative partnerships, and promoting equity and inclusion within educational institutions. So, hence, this paper aims to explore these complexities, including the challenges, opportunities, and potential solutions for fostering meaningful partnerships between schools and families and communities. So, through this research project, we intend to see a visible interplay between schools, communities, parents, and all the stakeholders involved. Now, this topic is significant due to the following reasons. First is student success and academic achievement. What effect and how the students grow and progress, how they develop when parents and communities are involved in school education. Building stronger school community relationships. The relationships between school and communities are also enhanced, obviously, and then equity and inclusion. Now, the objectives of the study are to study the impact of parental involvement and students' learning outcomes, to assess the role of community engagement in school education, to explore strategies for enhancing parental and community involvement, and to address challenges and barriers to involvement. So, these are the definitions of parental and community involvement in education. We went through various articles for the literature review, and we got to know that there are uh, different definitions of parental and community involvement, and there are multiple perspectives to it, but mainly there is a lot of significance, and it is greatly crucial that when parents and communities are involved in education, it tends to bring positive outcomes for students. Theoretical frameworks: mainly there are two theories that are involved in this, which is Einstein's framework of 6 types of involvement and the dual capacity building framework for family school partnerships. Now, the methodology that we underwent through to collect the data and analyze the data for this research project includes: the first step was developing questionnaires and interview schedules, questionnaires for parents and interview schedules for teachers. So we took into perspectives of both of them. So there were 40 questionnaires that we took, and 20 interview schedules for teachers, and those questionnaires were first approved, and then we started with data collection, and finally a thematic analysis was done on the basis of findings and all the data that we gathered. So survey questionnaire interview schedule. Now, I will come to findings and analysis. First of all, for parents' questionnaires. So, all the parents, despite being uneducated, mostly they were from low socio-economic background. So, they were mainly daily wage laborers, and they realized the significance of education. So, there is a great importance of parental involvement. All 40 respondents agreed that parental involvement in school education is crucial. Majority of parents consider that parental involvement is extremely important for the child's education, and most respondents reported no or minimal involvement in the child's education. We asked them what is the level of parental involvement. They said that it is very important to engage in school activities and collaborations, but not much is done from the school side to cater to this. Only the parent teachers meetings are conducted uh, regularly or as per requirement, but no such involvement is visible. And extent of improvement in child's behavior: significant improvement is observed by 70%, while 30% noticed some improvement in the child's behavior. So not only child behavior, but also the academic performance of students was likely to increase when it comes to parental involvement. Challenges in parental involvement: they said that the main challenges in parental involvement were work related commitments, since most of them were daily wage laborers, so there were time constraints for all of them. And so they felt quite time constraints, and hence unable to get into school meetings and all that. And then initiatives to promote parental engagement, flexible scheduling for school events, and improved communication channels are suggested to encourage parental involvement. Now, these are the statistical representation of findings on the basis of questions that we took in our questionnaires. So this is mainly the quantitative data that we collected. Now, when I come to interview for teachers, the teachers also acknowledge the significance of parental involvement in school education, and they recognize that the importance of parental and community involvement in school education, and lack of school initiatives. Despite acknowledging significance, teachers said that the schools lack efforts to foster parental and community participation. Positive influence of parental engagement: they acknowledge that there is a positive influence of parental and community engagement in school education, and on students' academic performance and well-being. Active participation, volunteering in classrooms, and open communication with teachers are highlighted as key activities for parents. Motivation and achievement: teachers also emphasize that students exhibit higher levels of motivation and achievement when parents are actively engaged in school activities. And then finally, important. Okay, I'm just winding it up. And then finally, importance of community partnerships. Teachers stress the significance of partnerships with local organizations and community leaders in enhancing students' educational experiences. Then the analysis and interpretation of sample data. The two major themes that came out were factors affecting parental and community. So there were 10 factors were a lot of elements and factors that significantly impacted the degree and effectiveness of such engagement. For example, socioeconomic status, availability of time and resources, cultural values, the quality of communication and collaboration between schools and parents, the accessibility of school facilities and programs, the availability of support systems for parents, government policies and initiatives, and such factors were recognized as which are impacting the degree and effectiveness of engagement. And then the challenges and barriers, such as lack of awareness among parents, time constraints, cultural and linguistic barriers, socioeconomic disparities, lack of resources and support systems, institutional and structural challenges, and other significant challenges may include parental apathy or disinterest, and then the historical mistrust between certain communities and educational institutions. Finally, I would like to conclude my presentation with the fact that parental and community engagement is extremely significant in school education, and it brings and fosters positive outcomes, and it is crucial for student progress and academic achievement. It improves communication, fosters a supportive atmosphere, and enhances the educational process. Collaborative partnerships empower students academically, socially, and emotionally, promoting resilience and positive contributions to communities. So the suggestion mainly is there need to be organization of various workshops where parents are made aware of the significance of education, and explore the effectiveness of partnership and community based programs, and prioritize evidence based interventions to enhance collaboration among schools, parents, and communities. Parents must actively participate in school education, and they must be given opportunities to do so. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm Sindhu.
Our next presenter is
Hello, ma'am. Yes.
Schools are highly secure.
have good relationship with their teachers, they don't have social anxiety or stigma, they perform better, they have a better social and emotional well-being. Next slide. These are the implications of my research paper. We can implement teaching approaches, we can change teaching approaches, we can make our classrooms more inclusive, we can make classroom not just a place of learning, but we should make sure that students can be what they are without any hesitation. So we can change the policies. Future researchers can work on this topic. They can study about how, because well-being is very important either for the children or for the teachers or for the policy makers. Next slide, please. The conclusion part. So this is the conclusion of my research paper, that there are both positive elements and negative elements present in our school atmosphere. The positive elements are a strong teacher-student connection, where a student can be what he or she is. They don't feel hesitant, they can reach out to their faculty members easily. The second positive element is the inclusive classroom, where every kid feels inclusive and not excluded. Helpful peer interaction is really important, because peer interaction makes kids perform better. Few negative elements are also there, that are bullying. Bullying leaves a permanent scar on a child's mind. Bullying leads to social anxiety. Bullying leads to kids, they do not interact with people, they make few friends, they are hesitant. Also, in a classroom where teachers are not friendly with the kids, or they don't give much amount of time to the kids, such negative elements lead to low amount of social and emotional skills and well-being. So that's all for my paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. Next presentation will be given by Deepti Goyal.
Just a moment, let me just start this screen. A very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for the opportunity. This is Deepti Goyal. I hope I'm audible. Thank you. I'm a curriculum designer by profession, and almost 20 years back, I started off my journey as an educationist with Jesus and Mary College from the with the BLEd department as a undergraduate student. This topic of teacher burnout was my topic of research with Dr. Alka Sehgal at that time for a project. And the study that I'm going to present right now is the one that I took further in my MA dissertation. So the title is The Study of Factors Leading to Teacher Burnout and Its Effects in Schools Working Towards Progressivist Ideology of Education. Well, since the time of independence, India is making efforts to break the stringent structures created by the colonial rule to control the mindset of Indian population. Very recently, the NEP and NCF have recommended ways to bring that transformation into human mindset. So with this transformation, in the context of this paper, I've chosen progressivist approach because that assumes the learner to be a very thinking individual. So with this need of transformation comes expectations on the human resource. This paper talks about teachers, the expectations on the teachers. So this can either lead to the growth of the teachers or stress and burnout in them. A lot of literature review establishes that this problem exists, but especially in the West, we find more of the research taking place in comparison to India. And that is where the research gap is identified, that especially in the context of reform, we need more research to be taken place in the context of teacher stress and burnout. This is where this research explores the factors related to teacher burnout, their effects on teaching learning process, the ways of coping with the stress, and the roles the schools can play, because teachers are directly working with the schools. The methodology was the eclectic approach where I used different questionnaires, interview schedules, and checklists to observe the classrooms and the meetings and workshop sessions. There was one school that was taken as a locale of study, 10 teachers, 7 of them were still in the school system, and 3 had reportedly left the school because of the stress and burnout. And there were 3 school leaders that were also involved. Variables and dimensions were taken from the instruments created by Van Dyck and S. Single based on the research of Jackson and Schumer and the other researchers doing research in this area. So I modified their instruments according to the context of my study. These were the dimensions that I used. So these dimensions catered to specific 3 objectives of the study that I've just talked about. First of all, I investigated whether the school is actually adopting the approach of progressivism or not. So the documents and the structures were analyzed, and it was identified that there were structures like TBL, experiential learning, no examinations till class 8 that established that the school is adopting the ideology. Then self-reports of the teachers were taken through interview schedules, where it was identified that the teachers were struggling a lot with the time and the deadlines. So they could not find time for their personal spaces. They could not grow it as professionals. They could not go for further studies. So that is where the teachers' pain was, and that was adding to a lot of stress in their life. Perspective of school leaders was taken. They reported that the alignment of the new ideology, the new principles, the new structures actually stifles the teachers' confidence and motivation. But they could not have, they did not have proper structures to evaluate the stress. That is why they lagged working upon them. As a researcher, I have also observed different meetings and different sessions where I realized that the teachers were reluctant in joining the meetings on time, taking initiative. So I, as an observer, also observed that stress among the teachers. Then quantitatively, I analyzed the variables. The questionnaires, in the questionnaires, the 4-point scale was used, and the teachers' responses were recorded, and the median was taken. For example, for the first variable, you can see there was for 25 out of 48 total median, relatively low, but in the interviews, the teachers were more loud about the stress among them. In the other variables, it was relatively moderate level of stress and burnout that was identified quantitatively. So it was established that when a school is working for reform, there is a certain level of stress, and sometimes it leads to burnout in some of the teachers, which leads to problems like mental exertion. There were factors like especially the time limit, the class size, the support from the leaders, the resource availability of resources from the school side, the teachers' own personal mental models. So these were the factors that were identified. Since the teachers, some of those teachers were not one with the ideology of the new approach, so there was lack of quality of classroom teaching. Qualitative examinations evaluation system requires teachers' observation, but if the teacher is reluctant in taking classroom observation, then that affects the process of learning. Ways of coping were identified where if the teacher's voice and choice is taken while taking the decisions, like if an event is being created, if the teacher's voice is taken, then that reduces the amount of stress and the teacher participates in the process. These were some of the ways of coping identified. The schools can play a very critical role in this whole process. It was identified that the supportive leadership, if the leadership is there, if the teacher trusts the leaders, then that can make a lot of difference in the attitude of the teachers. So if I conclude, the study identified teachers as a major change agent and identified stress as a barrier. So if we want transformation to actually take place, we need to cater to this idea of stress. That was the whole purpose of the study. And for further studies, I recommend that if the burnout of school leaders could also be taken, and across school years, if the burnout could be studied, that can help us in understanding the proper problem better. Thank you so much.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Can I share my PPT? My paper presentation topic is utilization of community resources for improving the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. I am a research scholar of Chinnaya Vishwavidyapeeth, deemed to be University, Ernakulam. My guide is Dr. Bindu MD, Assistant Professor of Chinnaya Vishwavidyapeeth, Community resources play a vital role in enhancing the educational experiences of the students. National Curriculum Framework 2005 emphasizes to encourage community participation as a means of enhancing quality education. Authority emphasize the importance of community participation in school education. It recognizes significant role in education as it provides a range of resources, expertise, and support that can enhance the learning experiences and promote holistic development of students. Schools are the pillars of the elementary teacher education Am I audible?
Miss Sandhya, are you there?
Ms. Sindhu, we will be letting you.
Hello, ma'am. I
Sindhu, we
left.
will be letting you present later because we are facing some technical issue from your side. So we
Yeah.
will just move on with the next presenter for the while. Can you please fix your presentation? Please check how to where the presentation is because we were only able to see your screen and not your presentation. So please
Yes.
look into it while we are moving on with the next
Because
presentation. Thank you.
without presentation, I present, ma'am. My research topic is utilization of community resources for improving the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. I am the research scholar of Chinnaya Vishwavidyapeeth, Ernakulam. My research guide is Dr. Bindu MD.
Miss Sindhu,
Yes.
ma'am, we are facing some technical issue from your side. Can we come back to you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, give me a minute. So my PPT is visible. Hello, hello, hello.
It's not visible.
Okay, 1 minute. Now is it visible? Yeah. Okay. Very good afternoon, everybody. This is Sandhya from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Hyderabad. So, going to the presentation, my study is based on the understanding the student's life in a Telangana social welfare residential school. Uh, so the objective is to understand the life of the students in Telangana social welfare residential school through the various aspects of the school culture. So such as school norms, everyday activities, routines, social relationships that students has formed in the school, and academic activities, their participation, and their how it is related to their school connectedness also. So that coming to the research question, sorry, yeah. So let me introduce about these schools. So these schools are government. These schools are run by the government of Telangana under the Department of Ministry of Scheduled Caste Development. So this vision of this school is that to provide quality, holistic, and value-based education to marginalized sections on par with the quality education received by the other advantaged children. So it has a mission to achieve this vision. So that mission is providing the curriculum and extracurricular activities that enable the students to explore their potential within their interest, aligning with the needs of 21st century skills. So then question research questions are the what this study focus has the two research questions. Basically, the what constitute the social school culture, particular in Telangana social welfare residential schools, and then second question is what are the mirrored experiences of students in Telangana social welfare residential schools, which includes the academic and non-academic experiences of the children and everyday life experiences of the children. Uh, so for this study, the mini ethnographic case study was employed to carry out this study. It was carried out for 20 days. That's why we call it as a mini ethnographic case study. Uh, and it is basically narrowed. It focused on the narrowed inquiry. So, and the tools used for these study is semi-structured interviews and naturalistic observations. The participants are sample size is 10 students and 5 teachers. The participants are chosen from 8th and 9th grades only because of their long duration of living experiences within the school. So 10th students were not chosen because of their hectic schedule, and they are busy in preparing for the SSC exams. That's why these students chosen only 8th and 9th grade students. And the 5 teachers also chosen who are dealing with this, particularly with these 8th and 9th grade students. So going to the major insights of the study, that are findings. So this study has find out majorly 5 things. One is the student-teacher relationships. How these relationships are shaping the or influencing the students' life is also found in this study. So here it was found that the teachers are taking multifaceted roles in the student's life. Their relationship is highly characterized as a more positive and supportive and nurturing aspects. So these relationships are embraces the elements of affection, love, having time for the students, care, acceptance, friendliness, encouragement, motivation, and sharing. Students express their concern like approachability and comfortability are the major aspects found in this in their relationships. So another thing in that school as is the mother-teacher relationship, mother-teacher and student relationship. Every student has every class has given to a teacher. So that teacher is called as a mother teacher, and these students are called as a house students. So that teacher is responsible for every minor thing of these students of that particular class. So the mother teacher is responsible for like whether the children has eaten on time, whether they are sleep on time, whether they have any behavioral issues or whether they have any health issues, so on. These kind of things she has to taken care of. And basically she is offering the maternal support to the students. And another social relationship found that is effectively influencing the students life is the peer relationships. So it peer relationship is highly characterized as supportive encouragement and motivation. So the students express that the sharing emotions with peers is a basic thing that they do not feel for their home. And they feel like this peers also they perceive that peers as their own siblings, and teachers are their mothers. So this study found that these relationships have a strong influence on their sense of school connectedness and also the academic participation. So students express that they are emotionally and personally connected to the school. They express that they prefer to spend more time at the school than at home, because they have built their meaningful relationships. And the academic part, it is also affecting their academic participation. Like they are very confident to participate actively in all learning activities because of because of the fear free environment created by all the teachers and the students. And one more thing, this is the because of these students are living with only teachers and students, and they are living away from their parents, because as it is a residential schools, they are not allowed to outside and they are not allowed to use mobiles. That's why these they have the strong relationship, strong bonding with these teachers and students, these keeping them to be in the school. And their academic, it is contributing their academic learning also. So this is the literature review for this study. And finally, thank you.
Collective one from my side. Just check with Bendy.
Just check the venue.
This venue is not a live actually. We will check the country region.
So the next speaker is Kumkum Chopra.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kumkum Chopra, currently serving in Army Public School as a PRT ES. My topic is related to exclusion in Indian primary grade classrooms. As a student, we all know that some or the other way, yeah, maybe in school life or in college life, we have been excluded or have excluded someone. For example, if we are sitting in a room, हो सकता है अपने साथ वाले को exclude कर रहे हैं या फिर उससे exclude हो रहे हैं, which can be due to intentionally or unintentionally. It can be both ways. So exclusion is a very dynamic term. ऐसा नहीं कि अगर मैं सामने वाले से I'm not talking to the person who's sitting next to me, I'm excluding him or her. It's not like that. It is through our words or through our actions or through our thoughts, our biases, or through my actions I'm excluding or including someone. The same happens in primary grade classroom. A classroom is not merely a space which is bound by bricks and cement. It is more of a dimension. A classroom is always the one which is dynamic. We all are teachers, we all are pedagogues, we all know that classroom is dynamic. It's not a thing which is bound by cement and ceilings, no. For example, each and every classroom has shared identities. For example, if I'm a teacher here, I'm standing in front of you. For you, I might hold a rank higher than you or lower rank than you. But when I'm in my school, I might hold a higher rank or a lower rank. So my rank or my identity is very much different or is very much respected where I am. Similar cases observed in the Indian classrooms. For example, if a child who is academically bright holds a higher rank to the one who is not so academically bright, we all have some or the other way, or in some situation, experience that. So, on this introduction, my research is based. So, the scope of this research can be a benefit for both pre-service and in-service teachers, policymakers, and textbook content creators to understand the phenomena of exclusion and to minimize it in the classroom for better facilitation and quality of education. Since research blankets exclusion process of learners and teachers, the research will be a guiding document for the school authorities, educationists, and ministries dealing with the appointments, service criteria, and environment, norms and rules framing, and grievances addressing. We all know that school teachers are the facilitators whom we always perceive as supreme authority are an actual sandwich between the learners, parents, and higher school authorities. Hence, we are walking on a double-edged sword of being pressurized from both the ends of being competent enough, possessing necessary skill set, bearing the mute violence from both the sides. Thus, the teachers are only given tokens of power. Actual power resides somewhere else, maybe with our school authorities or state. Thus, a facilitator's ground position can be understood with the help of this project. The major objectives of this research will be, number one, to identify the ways of exclusionary processes in primary grade classrooms of Delhi, government and private schools. Number two, to identify the different entities responsible for exclusion of learners and teachers in a primary grade classroom. Number three, to understand the dynamics of exclusionary process in a primary grade classroom. Number four, to understand the ground position of a teacher or a facilitator in the classroom. Now comes the topic of literature review. The term exclusion was coined by René Lenoir, a French social secretary of state during the 1970s. In 1974, the word exclusion was used to describe the situation of certain group of people, the mentally and the physically handicapped, suicidal people, aged individuals, abused children, drug addicts, delinquents, single parents, multi-problem households, marginal
asocial persons and other social mischiefs. So we can clearly see the word exclusion as that was meant to umbrella the people who were not so normal in the society, means which were not majorly accepted. But now it's a very common thing. बहुत commonly बच्चे भी आपस में बोल देते हैं. Since I'm a primary teacher, I know most of the students of my class में मैम ये मेरे से बात नहीं कर रहा, he or she is excluding me from the group. उनको नहीं पता कि exclusion एक बहुत बड़ी umbrella term है. So exclusion is a very umbrella term which children don't understand, and we as a facilitators need to have a control on this. Coming to the methodology, the methodology of this research paper was questionnaire. I conducted a small sample size of 6 teachers and then had an interview of them. Then data collection, both quantitative and qualitative analysis was applied, and finally some findings and conclusions. First conclusion was exclusion as a tool for social hegemony. So as exclusion हम लोग तब use करते हैं जब हमें किसी को अपने group से exclude करना है, which is a very surface term. But when I want to overpower someone or want to hegemonize that person mentally, not physically, then I use exclusion as a tool. Second, biological perspectives of exclusion. It was observed that girls were more excluded as compared to boys. Number 3, teachers as a puppetry power in the system. Teachers whom we consider as the authority or the supreme power of the classrooms are in actual puppets of power. Some power, the actual power lies somewhere behind the teachers, which we do. So that was from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. The next speaker is Shambhavi Moore. Please check what Professor Wendy has to say.
Hello.
She responded to the chat box.
I'm happy to do it at the end and let the students continue now, please.
Okay. So I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So good afternoon. I am Shambhavi More, first year MA education student from TISS Hyderabad, and I'm pleased to present before you a paper titled Childhood in Turkiyamchal, a study of childhood in peri-urban area. So just a quick definition or introduction of where is Turkiyamchal located. Turkiyamchal is a peri-urban locality, which means it is semi-urban. It has both urban and rural characteristics and is situated in the periphery of Hyderabad city. And it is accommodating a rising population from different parts of Telangana and from across the country. And with the rising population, it has also brought in a steep inequality within its population, where there are big high-rise buildings which are being built, and the people who are building these buildings stay in small huts beside it. So our paper tries to analyze the living experiences of children who reside in this transitional landscape. So the major questions that we are taking for this paper is, what are the experiences of these children living in a landscape growing through a significant transformation? What are their relationship with the world of work and play? How do these children coming from different socio-economic backgrounds interact with each other? And what role does the state play to ensure safe, happy and healthy childhood in this area? So these were the participants of the study. There were total 12 participants. The methodology used was a mini ethnography. Our participants range, the age group of these participants ranged from 4 years to 12 years. We have categorized them into lower, middle and higher income category based on the parents' occupation. As you can see, in the first column, in the lower income category, a lot of people whose parents are from the parents come from background of daily laborers or bricklayers and security guards. out of the lower income category, most of the people who were working, whose parents are working in the construction sites, come from a community called Lambadi, who are a nomadic tribe who comes under ST category in Telangana. Then there's middle income group category, whose parents are working in private sectors like nurse, or private or individual occupations like nurse, shopkeeper, delivery agents, etc. And then there higher income category, where we have two participants in the study. Then we looked at the schooling of children, who were in which schools they come from, and we really saw a clear divide based on income category, and as well as to some extent on caste category in the schooling of these children. Three students found were out of school. Then there were lower and middle income students who went to either a government school, there is a nearby Maniguda government school, otherwise low fee paying private schools, which is Bluebell schools in this case. Then there's this middle income group children who went to KB school, Oxford, or Bluebell school, all of them private schools. And higher income students went either to KB school or an elite public private school named Delhi Public School. Um, Even the play area of these students were seen to be segregated based on various categories. Firstly, it's income category, people coming from different income category whose parents were involved in different occupations played different games. For example, children who were at construction sites mainly played with the construction materials like cement, iron rods, which are mainly very detrimental or harmful for the students. Middle income category students usually played basketball, shuttle, dodgeball, and higher income category, the two participants merely answered that they played cricket. Um, so even the play areas of the students varied. For example, the lower income category group, who are mostly from the construction side, played near the construction area, while the middle and higher income categories children played near their colony on the roadside. This was also therefore also seen that the play area of these students was getting restricted because of rising construction site, where one person, quote unquote, said that earlier where we used to play, there are buildings coming up. There's one person who said that the place that usually used to be a place where we used to go and meet our friends is now the buildings are coming up, hence we have to take the main road to go and meet our friends, which is essentially very problematic for the safety of children in that area. At the same time, children are seen to be extremely caste conscious in their everyday living. For example, we could see that firstly the occupation of the students, of the parents of these children, and of the parents of the children and their class were very much aligned to their caste as well. For example, the Lambadi community, who came in the lower income category, their parents were working at construction site on the as opposed to the higher caste children whose parents are uh, occupied in occupations like teachers and police officers, are come from higher income background. Also, students are very much conscious of their caste here. For example, Jay in the study, who said that he does not play with the children in his locality, as he said, quote unquote, they are all STs, and again, quote unquote, they do monkey-like things. Um, at the same time, children who are seen to be played together are also conscious of their caste. For example, when we ask uh, Shreya, okay, all right, will just go. Um, so there are some findings that we found in this transitioning area. First, the differentiated access. There is differentiated access to healthcare and education between students of children of both higher and lower income caste categories. Secondly, despite of the ongoing urbanization and access to education, caste has made its way into the life of children. Class and caste influences the kind of play and playmates children had. And there's a transforming identity in children where migration had led to loneliness among children. Hence, there's we can clearly see that there's multiple childhood which has been observed within the children of Turkiyamjal. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Can I start? Okay. Very good afternoon to all respected dignitaries of Jesus and Mary College. Uh, Very good afternoon to all. My presentation topic is utilization of community resources for improving the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. I am Sindhu PG, research scholar of Chinmaya Vishwavidyapith, Ernakulam. My research guide is Dr. Bindu MP, Assistant Professor, Chinmaya Vishwavidyapith, Ernakulam. Next slide, please. Community resources play a vital role in enhancing the educational experiences of the students. National Curriculum Framework 2005 emphasized to encourage community participation as a means of enhancing quality education. Kothari Commission emphasized the importance of community participation in the school education. The community plays a significant role in education as it provides a range of resources, expertise, and support that can enhance the learning experiences and promote holistic development among students. Schools are the mirrors of the community. Elementary teacher education institutions mold the future teachers for schools. Next slide, please. Objectives of this study to find out the teacher educators' awareness about the utilization of community resources for improving the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. Second one is to analyze the current status of utilization of community resources for effective teaching at elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. Next slide, please. Significance of the study. The NEP 2026 to introduce and bring about a transformative change across all levels of education in India through active involvement of community. National Education Policy 2020 has given importance to community engagement. NEP articulates the role of community in education both explicitly and implicitly. Community engagement is an essential element which links education to the society. Community engagement in education ensures accountability of teachers, relevant content being taught to students, relevant skills being imparted to students to make them job ready. The education from community resources is a valuable supplement to formal school experiences. Out of classroom experiences enhance and promote learning and provide interesting learning experiences not gained in the classroom. In this concern, this study has taken to find out the utilization of community resources for improving the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. Methodology adopted here are the purpose is sampling technique. The population of the study consists of student teachers, teacher educators, and principals of teacher education institutions of Pathanamthitta district in Kerala. The sample consists of 220 student teachers, 33 teacher educators, and 11 principals of various teacher education institutions of Pathanamthitta district in Kerala. 3 sets of questionnaires consisting of 20 questions were constructed for students, teachers, teacher educators, and principals of TEI and administered by the researcher to collect data. Collected data were analyzed and using percentage analysis. That is, percentage analysis is used for the present study. Population. Next, population, student teachers, teacher educators, and principals of teacher education institutions of Pathanamthitta district in Kerala. Sample 220 student teachers, 33 teacher educators, and 11 principals of various teacher education institutions of Pathanamthitta district. Analysis and interpretations of the study. The main purpose of the study was to find out and analyze the awareness of teacher educators, principals of TEIs, and student teachers about the utilization of community resources for improving the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. Relevant data collected were listed, tabulated, and analyzed and come to conclusion. Okay, these are some questions I asked through the Google form. Next one. How TES, okay, these are 3 questions are shown here. Next one. What are the reasons why community resources cannot be used effectively? This the answers, the percentages here. Then what kind of support would you like as teachers to use community resources effectively in TEIs? Next slide. Findings of the study. Major findings are 80% of student teachers, 90% of teacher educators, and 11 principals have awareness of the importance of community resources in school activities and its importance in quality improvement of TEIs, and remaining 7% are neutral in opinion. Most of the teacher educators have understanding about the community resources but do not utilize it for effective teaching and learning process. Much emphasis has been given needed for improving teachers' view on use of community resources for effective teaching of science. Teachers are busy in completing the syllabus within the stipulated time. Lack of time to plan and coordinate visit, lack of support from the school authority, unavailability of school buses for transportation of students to distant places, and lack of enough fund are the major problems faced the teacher educators. Next slide. Community involvement in school education facilitates to bring quality education in the school. If community involvement occur in teacher education institution also, that will help to improving the quality of teacher education institutions. In the developed countries, community involvement is important for the school governance and its impact is positive. Communities are involved in many areas such as administrative, academic, financial power and the function of school. The communities serve as a resource laboratory for education at school level. This study will help to improve the quality of elementary teacher education institutions in Kerala. These are the references. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Agree.
Very good afternoon. Thank you for being here. With permission from the chair and the co-chair, I'd like to be a little informal and try and be interactive, although I know we have a time limit, so I'll try to stick to this. I will definitely try and run and stick to it. And again, yes, for the interest of time, I will be skipping over, but I will be happy to take questions afterwards. And I don't want to start with the second research question, please. So, the title of my study was, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Ronika Vidiraja. I was a BMed student. I graduated in 2019. I did BLed here in JMC. I then did my MA in English from IGNOU while I was working at Kunstkasten International, which is Swedish-based pedagogy in Gurgaon. Then I went for my master's in education at the University of Manitoba, Canada, which had a thesis part, and this is a small portion of that thesis, which I don't think I can cover in 5 minutes, but I'll definitely try. So the topic of my research was gender portrayal in popular music videos. Next slide. Just a roadmap, and yes, you can skip over. Moving on to acknowledgement, as a native citizen of India, I acknowledge the unfair treatment of people from the minority groups, and as an educator, student, and teacher, I put my work in to achieve whatever equity we can for the future. Next slide. I had a very nice visual for all of you to provide some discomfort here, but I've been told this is going to be available to the students, and to maintain that, I just have certain visuals which I can see now are not very. Yeah, you can't see those, which is okay. But just a few questions to you. You can shout out the answer and just give me numbers. How many genders are there in the world? Multiple. Remember, we have a time to go. Multiple. All right. How many genders in India? Three. Three. How many do you see around you? Okay, thank you. How many do you see in the media?
Two.
And about what do you see in the media is what I'll cover. All right, moving on to the next slide. These were some snapshots from the music videos, and I just quote a few, and I'm sure you can go back and go to the videos and see what they actually show. For example, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, or Garmi from Street Dancer. So, Mundi Badnaam Hui, we've all seen these, we've all been hearing these, we've all been singing these, but we don't realize what's actually being shown until we actually look at it from the perspective. Here are some articles from 2012 23 and 24 that talk about gender and how it is accepted in the society. So I'll just skip over. I think you're all aware of that. That brought me to my research questions. I'm going to read them out for you. How is gender portrayed or constructed in popular music videos in India and Canada? Since I was in Canada, I did a study, a comparative study with India and Canada. In what ways do music videos impact youth's understanding of gender? And the third one, how can we as pedagogues make music videos or any media text a resource in the classroom? Alright, so I'm going to skip over the literature review. This is gender, had media literacy and teaching media literacy. All theories, which I know you've been hearing a lot, so I'm going to skip over that. My theoretical framework was based on, is grounded in queer media literacies, feminist perspectives, and critical media. Moving on to the next one. My methodology for this study was based in two phases. For the first research question, I used critical content analysis. For the second question, I used qualitative survey. And the third question, I used both of them because it was an implication what was derived from the first two. This was a qualitative study, as you can see. Moving on to the next one. Alright, I'm straight away coming to the interesting part, which is the findings. So for the findings, to make it more comprehensive, I divided them based on the three research questions. The first research question was how is gender portrayed? I found out through the critical content analysis, for which I made codes. I made some codes and some I found while I was doing my analysis. So I found some prominent codes that were there in all the videos that I selected, some unusual ones which had no answer in the theory, but I was actually seeing them in the practice. And some predicted ones that we all know, there's gender clothing, you see gender expression, so all of those were also there. For the second research question, there was impact of music videos on the youth's understanding of gender. For this, I also found themes like how is it impactful, is there some discomfort that youth actually feel with the music videos, how is it represented, and what are the gender roles. And for the third question, music videos as a pedagogical resource, I made some strategies, and there is one tool that I call the bias, which I'll be discussing later. So again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm just picking out one element, one particular part which I think would be of interest to you today. Moving on to the next one. So for the first research question, which is how is gender portrayed or constructed in popular music videos in India and Canada, I found something known as an unusual code, which I call parasitism. Now, do we know what parasitism is? Heard about parasites? So yes, some of us biology students know, for some others, I'll just give you a revision. It is a symbiotic relationship where the symbiote lives off its living host for part or whole of its life. Okay, very quick, all right. So, although this is not something you ever see related to gender or you ever see in media, but this is something that I came up with because this is something that I saw, not from the part of the victim, but from the culprit. So, I'll give you an example. If your love is poison, I'll drink it in a flurry, which is from the song Kusuri, Zehar Bane Matere Ki Jawon Mein Puri. Why? Alright, another example. Alright, I won't go to another example, I know 5 minutes are up. So this is just to educate that viewers are made to believe it is your job as a person in a relationship where you're supposed to satisfy the need of the other, even if it's at the cost of yourself. So it could be self-harm, it could be you as collateral damage, but you should do it because that is expected of you. So that behavior I've called as parasitism, and I don't think I need to say, but there are some particular genders that are more privy to it than others. Moving on to the next one, the second research question, which was about how youth felt about it. So I will talk about gender roles. I'm not going to speak much about it. I'm just going to quote lyrics, and maybe you'll be able to feel better about it and think better about it. So for instance, Munni Badam Hui Darling Tere Liye, which loosely translates to Munni got defamed for you, darling. Oh baby doll mein soni thi, I am baby doll made of gold. I can't read this lyric, but yes, one other that I would want to highlight because we all rap to funny sing. By Mitra Di Ho, I mean Mitra Di Ho, which loosely translates to be my friend's whore. Oh, I meant be my friend's girl. So you can see that heteronormative, they're stereotypical, and you highly objectify and sexualize one particular gender, and one particular gender does it while you don't see the third gender at all. And the last research question, which is how you can make it into a pedagogical tool. I would need forever to discuss it, so I wouldn't. But just to touch on it, like I said, I made a tool that I feel can be of high interest to you all as pedagogues, which I call basically inclusivity audit survey. The media is out there, and as Jill says, anything available out there is already becoming a public pedagogy. So how can we as teachers actually use that tool of pedagogy to our interest? So this is a tool that I made based on the codes that I had created to simplify written questions, particular questions that you could ask your users, not your users, your students. You could ask yourself while selecting the tool, or you could actually bring up objectifiable media text that's available and bring into conversation about it. So, with that, I hope I left you with some questions. I was not here to answer any, but I hope you go back, look at your favorite music videos. I did not know the Honey Singh rap actually said until I actually read the lyrics for this survey. But yeah, so I just hope I left you with something. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. As our last speakers for the day, we have Chetna and Ria.
Hello to all. It's already 3:30, I know. And after having lunch, sitting too late and giving presentation very first and very last, it's just has its own advantages and disadvantages, I know. So, yeah, means thank you, Ronika, to make my task easy. कि gender सिर्फ दो नहीं होता है and multiple genders we have, but we see that schools means not sometimes, often plays a significant role in building these masculinities and femininities. Activities where we always appreciate this subject and its nature, but there are many things which we either ignore or couldn't recognize. One of them is gender. Through this research paper, we tried to explore the field of physical education through the lens of gender, and it is not hidden. There is continuous efforts and practices to make it hidden that women and girls' participation in physical activities and sports have long been excluded. It is only the last century that women's participation or females' participation in sports have gained importance or encouragement and acceptance. Even then, there are barriers remain. And there are gendered forms of bodily expressions continue to be reinforced through physical education classes and curricula that separate ऐसी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को स्पोर्ट्स के साथ हम ऐसे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को जोड़कर देखते हैं, जैसे कि अग्रेशन चाहिए स्पोर्ट्स में, डिटरमिनेशन चाहिए स्पोर्ट्स में, स्ट्रेंथ चाहिए, जो कि फेमिनिटी, जो कि डोमिनेंट फेमिनिटी का जो पर्सपेक्टिव बना रखा है हमने, उसके साथ कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट कर दिया कहीं ना कहीं. So I must say that there has been much research done in the field of physical education and gender, but mainly it's done, please concentrate, mainly it's done in the developed countries and very rare in a country like India, especially very rare in MCD primary schools in India. I understand that physical education is not only about sports, but it denotes several experiences of privilege and oppression, and one dimension which provides a way to change the patriarchal nature of the state. In this paper, I shall argue that how school plays a significant role in constructing masculinities and feminities through the nature of physical education. And also we will look at how on the one hand physical education provides opportunities to one gender and snatching away from the other gender or genders. And looking at the research methodology, we use classroom teaching and pedagogy, then participatory and non-participatory observation, and structured interviews. Next slide. We conducted this in STMC primary schools, and we have 3 primary schools separated. Chetna did in RK Puram, and Vipasha did in Arjuni, and I did in Block Y Bajpas. Next, please. Next. I want you to look at this image. I drew this in my classroom and asked students to write about this image. कि इस पिक्चर में आपको क्या दिख रहा है? मैंने बच्चों के नोटबुक से उठाकर देखी, बच्चों ने देखा था बॉलर बॉल को मार रहा है, बैट्समैन बैट से बॉल को मार रहा है, एंड विकेट कीपर अभी छोड़ ही देते हैं. सो मैंने कहा कि ठीक है, बैट्समैन आपको यहाँ पर कोई मैन नजर आ रहा है, देन देयर इज कंप्लीट साइलेंस, कोई बात नहीं. देन अगेन मैंने उनसे पूछा कि क्या आपको कोई क्रिकेट प्लेयर्स के नाम बता सकते हैं? देन एवरीवन सचिन, विराट, ठीक है, ओके. देन आई कम टू दिस uniform, which I observed and my co-authors also observed that there is a dress code for girls which is t-shirt and skirts, and for boys t-shirt and pants. And when there is a race or sports day event, so teacher asks girls to wear leggings or pants under skirts due to this race. नहीं तो overall they wear only skirts and shorts. You can see this. Girls are wearing skirts, but on sports day especially, they were asked to wear leggings or pants under skirts. Also, bodies and spaces की अगर मैं बात करूँ, then there is always that अगर कोई free बड़ा सा open space दिखता था, then boys came and asked, मैम उधर हम क्रिकेट खेलने जा रहे हैं, लड़कियों को फ्रिस्बी दे दो, लड़कियों फ्रिस्बी के साथ खेलेंगी. And लड़कियां फ्रिस्बी के साथ नहीं खेलती थी. They were engaged in talking and or going back to the classroom, doing arts or something, pending homework. So this is how, and even one of my co-author Chetna, she is a badminton player, also good in cricket. She asked boys that would she play with them. तो पहले तो उन्होंने बिल्कुल नेगलेक्ट रिजेक्ट कर दिया. देन उसके बाद दोबारा जब उसने कोशिश करी तो वो बोलते हैं ठीक है खेल सकते हो आप हमारे साथ, बट जब वो उसने 6 हिट करा तो उनको विश्वास नहीं हुआ. उन्होंने कहा कि मैम आप तो लड़की हो, आप इतना अच्छा कैसे खेल सकती हो? या जस्ट फाइन. So I will just wrap up. So many portions I exclude, so sorry for that. But the findings are gender role stereotype norms are socially constructed gets more highlighted when it comes to schooling and physical education, which in return gives birth to and enhances the gender identities formed by children already in their informal education or informal spaces. Gender identities that formed get internalized through the patriarchal nature of school and state. Next, we found out that there is a difference in the uniform of students, which eventually benefits the one sex and oppresses the other, leading to the belief that there exists a difference between two sexes, leading to the physicality that girls' bodies are weaker than boys, which is not a fact. We identified that gender gets reflected through bodies and spaces in the playground. Boys occupy more play spaces in the ground, leading to elimination of girls from sports. The masculinity and aggression can be enhanced through cultural hegemony, and it also not only disadvantages girls but also the boys who are not so-called masculine in the dominant perceptions. Also, the knowledge that being imparted in school is of socially, economically, culturally dominated sections, which has contributed to sexual division of labor and physical education in society and reinforcement of patriarchal power relations.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I would like to invite our chair and co-chair to share their valuable insights on the papers.
Yes, thank you. I'm conscious of the time. Do we have some time still? Okay, so I want to thank all of the presenters for their interesting and insightful papers. It's encouraging to see that you have adopted qualitative research methods rather than quantitative studies. Professor Bart spoke this morning about the most important aspects of education being unmeasurable. So it is very good to see you using ethnographic approaches with mixed methods. Negotiating diverse childhoods requires us to explore the lived experiences, cultures, and circumstances that shape formative years of children in India and worldwide. Negotiating these differences involves navigating the complexities of identity, belonging, and inclusion, while embracing the richness of cultural diversity. The variety of the papers that you've presented today show that in a really positive way. Whether it's reconciling traditional values with modern influences, or bridging gaps in access to resources and opportunities, you have shown that children can learn to adapt, empathize, and thrive within the endless variety of human experiences, but that it's imperative on us as teachers, on those that are involved in the communities and policymakers, that we understand those children's lived experiences. As teachers, it is our role to give voice to the voiceless, fostering empathy, understanding, and equitable opportunities. This becomes paramount in ensuring that every child has the chance to realize her or his full potential. Professor Bart spoke this morning about the importance of walking books as sources of evidence in our research, and he illustrated that through the photographs that he showed you of Palestine. I know you didn't have long really to look at the photographs, but for you, your books, your walking books, are your pupils, their families, and their communities. You've all talked about your findings and your research outcomes, and I'm very encouraged after listening to you today, because you're the future of our schools and societies. If we had had more time for a discussion, I would have liked to have asked those who had presented to share with us some examples that they had observed or heard in their research that were pieces of good practice that could be shared with others. So, for example, one of you talked about the relationship between parents and schools and the importance of schools being more flexible in opportunities for parents to engage with them. So I would encourage you to think about examples of good practice that you've seen in your research, and to think about how you can share those examples of good practice with others, or even embed them in your own practice. As well as thanking all of the presenters, I'd like to thank the organising committee, and particularly those of you that have been involved in the presentations. I don't know who it was who was messaging me on WhatsApp, but thank you very much. That helped a lot. And then particularly, I'd like to thank Dr. Radhika for being there with you in the room and giving you her full presence. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wendy. You kind of made it very easy for me because you have presented an overview of what the papers have been like, the kind of possibilities it has, also the roadmap for how teacher research or student research or early career researchers can be like. So there's and also the transformative potential that we carry as teachers within schools, within the institutions that we're working in, within the communities that we're working in. And very interestingly, she did point to the fact that how do we connect all this? How do we bring in the positive practice? Because at the end of the day, as practitioners, how do we how do we make a transformative possibility a reality? And maybe as observers, as people who are engaging directly in the schools, observing communities, we could possibly bring them in. I will focus my comments and to primarily be broad comments on the papers that have been presented. It's a little complex because there's been a variety of papers, and some of you have presented it from your training is in liberal, in the liberal stream of education as a discipline, and for others it is more like a practitioner. So between the practitioner and the liberal stream, there is quite a journey. And but the fact that both of you have both the practitioner as well as the liberal paper presenters are here also gives us a possibility for what is the kind of research that can possibly happen. At the same time, I do notice that there were papers which were very recent, which is kind of almost like working papers because their projects are just over, while there are others who have revisited their earlier projects, have come back and also looked at it in retrospect. Somebody mentioned about, I think, 20 years or so. And there were very recent researchers as well. So the possibility of returning back to research is a good indication of the fact that, how do we grow from our observations currently? How do we take it forward? How do we build upon it? The third element which was interesting about the papers that came in was that you all were at different levels of engagement in the education discipline. Some of you are just you're just finishing your graduation, a graduate degree in teacher, as a teacher, as a teacher, as a pre-service teacher, and others are into research, others are working in the area, and so bringing in this dimension of different levels of engagement also brings with you the possibility of understanding that education has a lot of possibilities. There's a tremendous amount of engagement that is possible, and when you're writing up your papers, this is something that you can possibly think of. What is it that you're personally bringing into the paper? What is it? Are you bringing it from the liberal discipline? Are you bringing it as a practitioner? What is your investment into the research question that you have? Some examples from that, some introductions to that would kind of give the reader an idea of how are you engaging with the field? How are you engaging as a practitioner? Because many of you have actually, even when you're talking of quantitative, there are references to quantitative work. It is actually a small study which you are dwelling upon. So the thing is, there's a lot of possibility for examples and representative evidence of why you're saying what you're saying, which of course was not possible within the 5 minutes, but there is a great deal of possibility of demonstrating that in your own written papers. There are some methodological issues which can be thought of because there's a variety of methodology that has been applied. But for instance, you can actually deliberate upon why is it that you've chosen a particular method and why not something else. So your choice of the method can you can give a little explanation about that, because in some cases where you use descriptive statistics, see what is the reason that a descriptive statistics was chosen, or maybe if you haven't thought of that at that particular time, we can think of bringing in a qualitative element, some of the qualitative data that you have observed, or if you're representing narratives or you're bringing in some images that you want to represent. So the thing is, how are you reading the image the same way as the children have read? So you can bring in some of these engagements of how do you deal with the method. I know many of you are at different levels of educational practice. Some at the undergraduate stage, some at the research stage. But that is a positive thing, because the thing is, when you start engaging with the method that you have done, as an undergraduate student also, you know why you have chosen something. And similarly, if you've chosen not, and at the research level students can engage with it in terms of the methodological issues. You can deliberate upon that and also refer to that. There are some of you have referred to certain concepts, and in fact, all of you have referred to certain concepts. But it will be useful to have an understanding of what those concepts actually mean. Maybe if you could define that, if it's a concept that you have tried to develop, like some of the papers have done that. So the thing is, what is the particular reason for that development of that concept? Does it actually necessarily indicate what you're trying to say, or will it take you to another direction? So a little more thought around the concept definitions would help. There are many other possibilities, but I was fascinated by the fact that there are various locations, from the peri-urban to a migrant community to special social groups. There are school organizations, school environment, school culture, community, parents, individual experiences that are there. So so given the entire range of this experience, how would you engage with it as a practitioner? And how would you engage with it as a theoretician? You're all early career researchers. You're very early into yours as a student researchers. But even so, as I say, if you're an MA student you're doing an MA course, or if there's somebody else who's doing an MA course. So there is a different level of engagement in terms of a practitioner, also with the theory, with the concepts. So bring in your disciplines into what you're writing, and that would kind of give us a more detailed reflection, also more reflections from your side, which will kind of enable us to actually become the transformative teachers transformative education that you all are pushing for. You're all promoting that. So let's have more of you coming into as a researcher, as a person who's engaging with the project. If you can have a little more of that explained, that would help us develop the field also as young researchers.
Thank you, Professor Bignol and Dr. Menon, for your guidance in enriching our understanding and fostering meaningful dialogue. Once again, thank you everyone for your valuable